Sherman, talk about the 7 ways of learning. This is extremely critical as a lot of you are going to be self-learning as a financial advisor, as you're starting out your career and really want to hit the ground running. So hopefully you've identified at this particular stage of your life how you best learn. But let me go through the 7 different ways. The first one is visual. Typically you like to see things in pictures or images. Oftentimes you might find yourself doodling when you're listening to a speaker because that's the way that you actually start learning things. And the next one then is physical, or also known as kinesthetic. Those are the people that are doers. They typically forget the planning. They want to jump in. They can learn very quickly on the fly from mistakes. Oftentimes they're pretty intuitive when they're jumping into things. And that's just how they are. They're typically very physically inclined. They like to do things with their hands. Sometimes for them then, when they're sitting in a setting where it's more lecture or classroom format, they might find themselves fidgeting with their hands just because that's their way of learning. The next one is auditory or music. So through the sound or even just hearing it, they might be able to understand things a lot quicker than your typical individual. Oftentimes then books on CD or audible.com become extremely helpful. The next one is someone that's a little more verbal. So they'll find either the written word or even the listening word extremely valuable, or even for themselves, writing things down in text allows them to really gather their thoughts together. These are people that typically you probably saw in classroom settings that wrote voraciously or typed out their notes and really could then retain that information as they would write it down themselves. The next one is someone that's more logical, or they're going to be able to use reasoning, and it could be, these are probably more like the attorneys. Oftentimes they're reading things, but then when they have the ability to talk it over with someone and logically argue things through or talk things through, it helps them see things more clearly. The next one is social. That's a person that finds group settings more useful, or even talking through with another person the concepts that need to be learned. And then finally is someone that's a little more solitary. This is definitely the self-study individual that has the discipline to be able to learn on their own. At the same time, has the mindset that as they read or watch, they're able to engage. Oftentimes they're pretty analytical to begin with. Now, I think oftentimes you might find yourself more dominant towards one of these areas, but it might be useful to incorporate these different styles of learning, so that way you can gain the most out of it. And once you found that, I would continue to hammer in on those ways of learning, so that way you can become as polished as possible and as quickly as possible. Question that I have for you is, which way do you like to learn? Have a fantastic day.